Thank you. I am so happy to be here with my fellow customer success leaders. It's funny, when I got the call from Christy that I was going to speak today, I felt like I got drafted to the NFL. I called my mom. I was like, Mama, I made it. I started walking around the office. I was giving people Heismans. It was an entire thing. But seriously, I'm happy and honored to be here, share some stories and knowledge with you all because I too sat in your seat. It was at this specific show back in 2019, about 5 months after I took this role as Global Director of Customer Success, where I came to CS100 and got some ideas, some understandings. I made some great friendships that's really helped me and propelled me in my career. So if you chose one show to go to this year, this definitely was the right one. So let's get started. So again, I'm Nicholas Tyson, Director of Customer Success, and we're going to talk about scaling customer success, getting it out of your head and into outcomes. So a little bit more about me. So I oversee customer success, onboarding, education, marketing, and technical support at SmartVault, where we help customers share documents securely with their clients. And we have about 7,000 customers, about 2 million users, about 15 million in annual recurring revenue, and we have about 30 members of the CES organization that roll up to me. I started my career, like many of you, I started out in SaaS sales, and then I moved to implementation and onboarding, and from there, I became the first customer success manager at a unicorn fintech company out in Charlotte, where I saw that team grow from about one person, well, me, to 15 people by the time I was there, and now leading the charge at SmartVault. Now, one thing I tell my employees, my colleagues, and one thing you'll get out of me, Nick, is transparency. So if it's okay, today you're going to be I'm going to be very transparent with you as we talk together. And my first transparent moment is going to be right now. My road to scale and success has not been perfect. I've made many mistakes. I rethought many decisions. But one thing you have to understand and accept as a leader is that through failure comes strength. And you're only as strong as the last challenge you've overcome. And the one challenge I had to overcome was getting it out of my head into real outcomes. And again, that's what we're going to talk about today. Scaling your CS organization, getting it out of your head and into outcomes. By a show of hands, who has ever had a great idea ever in life, right? There we go. Everybody should have their hand up. If not, you're in the wrong room if you never had a great idea, right? Now, who's had a great idea that didn't come to fruition? Right? All of us, right? Well, why is that? Well, there could be many different reasons, but the facts are it's hard, right? It's hard to get the things you're thinking about out to real scalable outcomes. All of you are doing amazing things in your company. Again, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. And someone is trusting you to take the understandings, ideas that you have about customer success and instill it in the minds and the hearts of your customers and employees. They want you to get it out of your head and into outcomes. So with that being said, we're going to talk through for the next few minutes what I believe are the 3 pillars to success. There's process, people, and technology. I'm going to grab some water because my mouth is getting dry. They asked me for water outside. I said no, and a little bit, and I should have drank the whole bottle. So process, people, and technology. And as we go through each one of these, we're going to kind of drill in on some specifics of each pillar. And there's going to be something for each person within this room. So there's going to be people here that are becoming new leaders, so people have been leaders for years, but there's going to be a key takeaway that you can use regardless of where you're at in your journey, okay? So let's get started with our first pillar, which is process. What's the definition of a process? Well, a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. A lot of times as leaders, we take a lot of time thinking about that A part, right? The series of actions or steps. But do we do enough thinking about the B part, the end? Do you have a vision for your customer success organization? Do you have that elevator speech or that mission statement to talk about how your organization is going to drive outcomes for the business? That's the beginning of getting it out of your head and into outcomes. But how do you get there? You won't have it automatically. I sure didn't. But as a business leader, it's your job to go and find the answers. And how do you do that? First thing you do, sit down with your CEO and don't get up until the business goals and the vision as their vision, his or her visions, are embedded into you as if they were your own plan. You should understand the go-to-market strategy for the business and what the next 3, 5, and 10 years will look like. The switch. It's switching on there, but not here. Yeah. So let me go back. No, it's okay. We're in tech, right? Yeah, so let's go. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. To get the vision, you must understand your business goals and where you are in your growth journey. So again, work with your CEO and get that information from them. From there, after long thoughts, you're going to have your vision for your customer success organization. But at minimum, they should answer these questions. How are you going to drive outcomes for your customers? How are you going to drive growth for your company? And how will your team culture promote success? So to give you a little insight on my journey at SmartVault, when I started, we had 4 members of the team. In the first 2 months, 2 people decided to quit. And I also took over for a leader who was actually still a part of the organization, who frankly wasn't happy about the new guy coming in, right? We're great now. Me and HP are buddies, but back then he wasn't too fond of me. So I quickly had to create my brand, understand my vision, and then instill it throughout the organization. So what I did was I sat down with my CEO, my president, and my CFO to really understand what we needed to do as a business. And what came out was that we need to focus on lowering our MRR churn. So what I did, I went on a mission. I went on a mission to find out what I needed to do to understand, to drive down churn for our business. So I went and gathered data, and I analyzed qualitative and quantitative data through our business. So I did a few things. I talked to our customers. I personally spoke to 50 customers on the phone, called them up and said, why did you choose SmartVault? What is going well and what's not going so well? How can we do better? I polled other 4,000 customers at that time and asked those same questions. I talked to every single member of the organization, every single one. Some were long conversations, some were short conversations, but I was seeking to understand what was missing from customer success. How could we help? Finally, I reviewed data, right? So NPS data, churn reasons for the last 3 years, and really dug into the data. What was the outcome? The results. Here's what people said. Nick, I haven't heard from SmartVault since I purchased it 3 years ago. I still don't know how to use this product. Here's what our sales team said. Nick, once I sell it, I have to spend an hour on a call training the customer how to set it up. Less than 10% of our new customers were formally onboarded, and our number one churn reason, attractor reason at the time, was product was hard to use. So from there, my scale plan was simple. I wanted to focus on onboarding and education. Why? A couple things. Number one, it's going to help my new customers have experienced a great post-sales journey, right? Get that time to value very, very quickly. For my current customers, I want to re-educate them and help them tap in on those outcomes that they wanted when they first purchased SmartVault. And for our team, our organization, for our sales team particularly, it's probably been the best thing that ever happened. I wanted to allow that my sales team to focus on selling and not on training our customers. That one act alone has produced a great outcome from once a fractured team of customer success and sales. We have one of the greatest relationships with our sales team, which is really kind of unheard of, in SaaS today. And that led to our mission as a customer success organization, which is educate every customer through every interaction. That's our mission. That's what we want to do. Doesn't matter if you're onboarding, CES, support, we want to educate you every time we interact with you. But I wasn't done there. Now I had to take that information and go back to my CEO, CFO, president, and say, hey, here's what I'm going to do. And that's where I created what I'm going to call, and what I call, the business impact analysis. And as we go about this approach, transparent moment number 2, I didn't go about this alone. I went and worked with my CEO and CFO and said, hey, what questions are you looking for me to answer? What data specifically do I need to share with you for you to give me the backing I need to move forward with my scale plan? A lot of times as leaders, we have a little ego, right? We don't want to ask questions. We don't want to feel like we don't know. Drop it. Go to them. Ask them. It's going to save you so much time, a lot of headaches, and it's going to allow you to go farther, faster, and build your case. So my business impact analysis, 6 questions that I had to talk to and backed by data, stories, and also those business outcomes that we understood, right? What am I solving and why? What impact will it have on the business? How quickly should we expect to see outcomes? How much will it cost? How does this fit in our customer success vision for scale? And the last question, most importantly, what happens if we don't do anything? How does this affect our churn, our team, LTV, NRR, NPS, adoption, name it? After that, we got buy-in, we do the fun stuff. And that is own your scale vision. Evangelize, educate, and explore. This is the time for your internal roadshow. You want to evangelize around the company the why, educating them on the how, the impact, and then explore. Explore how you're going to help others within the organization through your plan for scale. So what was the result of all of this? Well, we ended up hiring one CSM who eventually actually became our head of onboarding and education 3 years later. She's actually in the audience today, right? We brought in a LMS to help with our scale our onboarding and education. We introduced customer webinars for our current customers to help re-educate them. We also revamped our entire onboarding process and put a services process together and a plan to help sell services more and attach those more. Now we're at an 80% attachment rate for a new business. And then finally, what were the results? We lowered churn from 2.5% MRR churn to now we're at 0.8% in 3 years. And we increased our non-subscription revenue and services by 400% since 2019. So, what's the point? The process starts with you understanding your end goal. Gather data, work alongside your leadership to get the vision right. And then share with your organization. Build the buzz around your scale plan. Evangelize, educate, and explore. Now we're going to move to our next pillar, which is people. And we're going to spend some time on this one because I'm really passionate about people. If you ask Alex in the audience how I just love my people, my organization, I'm a people-first leader. And a lot of times, you know, as a leader, we get caught into the accolades, the titles, and all the other things. We must understand that people are how we're going to be successful. It's happening again. So whatever happened last time. Oh, here we go. So people definition, my definition. The foundation to your customer success scale plan and the key to success as a leader. So the question is, how do you build the right team? That's very hard, especially in the climate we are today with recruiting, right? Well, we're going to go through a simple framework that's called Right Person, Right Seat. It's actually taken from a book called Traction. I would encourage you to read it if you haven't heard of it. But we're going to go through each scenario, and really this framework is going to take the emotion out of the decision-making process of who is in your organization. So the 4 different scenarios that we have the right person in the right seat, the right person in the wrong seat, the wrong seat, wrong person, but the right seat, and the wrong person, wrong seat. Say that 10 times fast, right? All right. So we're going to go through each scenario. I had the pleasure of actually having someone in each one of these scenarios. So as we go through each one, I'm going to give you a real-life story about the outcomes and what happened there. So let's talk about the wrong person in the wrong seat. Pretty simple, right? This is probably the most obvious one, but also it's the most dangerous to your scale plan. This is an employee that doesn't perform at their best ability. They miss deadlines. They create extra work for their coworkers. They don't share your core values. They aren't team players. If you have someone like that within your organization, do not delay working with your HR team or people and culture team to work that person out of your organization. That will derail your scale vision if you have the wrong person in the wrong seat. I had someone like this in my organization. Next transparent moment. I took too long to move on from this employee. In fact, if I would have took any longer, it probably would have damaged my brand as a leader. So, after some time, we worked with the employee. We put them on a performance improvement plan in hopes that they would get better, right? But as a leader, that's what we want to do. One day later, he resigned. That was the best thing that happened for the organization. So what happens if you have the wrong person in the wrong seat? Simply move on from the employee. Now, how about this? We have the right person in the wrong seat. Now, this is the person that actually shares the values. They're liked by their coworkers. They believe and they're committed to the vision that you have. They're a joy to be around. But the current position or seat they're in is either too big or too small for them, leading them to feel maybe overwhelmed or even bored in their position. Let's make it clear. It is very difficult to hire people that actually have your vision, your culture, and aptitude and want to learn and be a part of what you're building. So if you have someone like that in your company, try your best, do your best to make sure that person stays within your organization, even if that means moving them to another part of the organization or potentially finding some more projects or maybe promoting them to help grow them within a role. I had this as well. I had a young woman that was Tier 1 support. Quite frankly, she was well overqualified for Tier 1 support. We always laugh. We don't know how we got her in our organization. But she was in Tier 1 support, and she was just bored. She was doing a great job, 99% CSAT, top ticket taker. It was a whole thing. And she just was bored with her role. So we worked with her to one-on-ones to promote her to our customer onboarding team, where she thrived. We also gave her some more projects to work on, like our AI chatbot and our NPS and voice of customer. And now she's actually going to be leading our Tier 3 support team and helping us continue to scale as we continue to grow our organization. So if you have the right person, but just in the wrong seat, get them to the right seat through promotion or internal movement. Water break. And then we're going to get back to it. Now, how about this? We have the wrong person, but in the right seat. And this one's actually really difficult as a leader because this person's a high performer. They do everything that they're told. They have maybe been there for a long time, but it's the subtle things that he or she is doing. It's the rolling of the eyes in the company meetings. It's the constant criticism of the leadership and where you're going as a business. It's the dissension that they potentially are building within your organization. This may be hard, especially because they're a high performer. But if you have someone like this within your business, within your organization, you must move on from that employee. Because this kind of insidious act can kind of really derail, again, the goals that you're trying to do and what you're trying to build within your CS organization. Again, I had someone like this. In fact, she actually helped us scale and build some of our processes and documentation at the beginning when we first started to build our customer success organization. But over time, it shifted. Things started to set in. She wasn't happy. She started to share that frustration with others. She started to, again, eye roll in the meetings, create a little dissension within some of the teams. And after many conversations, we decided to split ways, even though it was hard. Again, if you have the wrong person in the right seat, it may be hard, but you have to move on from that employee. And finally, the right person in the right seat. This is what we're all looking for, right? This is the person that shares your core values. They represent them daily. They really embody them. They add to your culture. They're excited to generate growth and scale. They don't create extra work for others. Actually, make it easier for others to work. They make it easier on you. It's not just a job. They love what they do every single day. What should we do when we have people like this in our organization? We need to pour into them, find ways to grow their careers. I like what Dave talked about earlier, that coaching tree. That coaching tree was a bunch of right persons, right people in the right seat. While you're scaling your organization, be as transparent as possible with these people, these talented people within your organization. Bring them along the journey with you. Take them along your decision-making process and how you're thinking about growing and scaling. Bring them to shows with you like this. Promote their growth within the organization. These are going to be your future managers and senior managers of your organization as you scale. We're only as good as the people that we have. So if you have the right person in the right seat, what do? We pour into them and we find ways to grow their careers. Pretty easy, right? Not really. But there's one trait that I would say you should take as you go about this process, and that's honesty. When you go about this process, honesty and radical objectivity as you look at people within your organization. I don't care if you have 3, 30, or 300 people. When you go home, draw out those 4 quadrants and put each person within your organization in a corresponding section. From that moment, you will know what you'll need to do. So what's the point? Get the right people in the right seat. Constantly evaluate your talent and place them in the appropriate section. And finally, don't delay in making a decision on who is in your organization. Finally, technology. Okay. My definition, the accelerator to scale. It's going to allow you to go farther, faster. Obviously, most of us are in the technology space, so we know that. And it's interesting, as I was thinking about technology, there's a lot of different things I could talk about, right? I was thinking about maybe how do you get buy-in from executives on to buy a piece of technology? Or how do you put together the perfect tech stack while I'm trying to scale an organization? We could talk about that, and if you want to, we have another day and a half to talk about that. We can have lunch or talk later about that information. But frankly, there's a lot of community information, podcasts, books that can talk about that probably, frankly, better than I can. But one thing I do want to talk about, and we will talk about, and what I find to be really the future and more common in customer success is AI, artificial intelligence. I believe this is the future of customer success and the key to scale. We introduced an AI tool within our support team, and over the last 3 years, we've seen support tickets reduced by 40%, an increase in our CSAT by 10%, and we saved, in the first year, $500,000 in support head costs and also support ticket costs. Artificial intelligence is the future to customer success and scale. But the question is, how do I get the idea of artificial intelligence out of my head and actual real outcomes? Well, there's 4 steps, and we're going to go through them today. Number 1, understand your problem statement. Understand the problem that AI will solve for you. For us, it was doubling our output and support without doubling our headcount. It's pretty simple what I was trying to solve for. Second, prepare to train the AI. There's this notion, idea out there that AI is just this set and forget it thing where it's going to learn on its own. That's not the case, okay? We spent hours of time training our AI tool to make sure it got where it needed to be for it to be successful within our business. Thirdly, test internally. Get buy-in from other departments. Let them test the bot, see the different outcomes and different responses that the bot has, and really bring others in the organization into what you're trying to build. And finally, congratulate and share the success. Congratulate the bot like we would any other employee that's being successful for you. In our retros and our meetings, we're constantly talking about how our bot is either deflecting tickets for us, now that our sales and marketing team is utilizing the bot too, how many demos it's capturing for us, and how is it driving people to our customer advocacy programs. There's many different AI tools out there. In fact, there's probably people in the buildings today that actually work at an AI tool company. I don't know all of it about everything, right? Transparent moment from AI, but I do know there's many tools that can help you throughout your customer journey. But what I want to get across here is just get started. Don't get left behind in the wave of artificial intelligence within the customer journey. So what's the point? Artificial intelligence is the future of customer success. Find where AI can improve and support your human interactions. We were having a bus, it was like a van this morning, a ride over, and we were talking about this point. AI is not replacing people, it's supporting the human interactions that you're already doing and enhancing those, right? And don't get left behind in the AI movement. So let's recap. Remember these things. The process starts with you understanding your end goal, understanding your vision. Work with your leadership to get the vision right, and then we want to evangelize, educate, and explore throughout our organization. Build a team of the right people in the right seat, right? Go home, draw out the 4 quadrants, and put your people in the corresponding area. And finally, AI technology is the way of the future. So just get started. You know, at the beginning of this talk, I asked everybody to raise their hand if they ever had an idea. Throughout today and tomorrow, there's going to be many ideas that you come across and come inside your head. Those ideas will come to fruition. Why? Because now you're equipped to get it out of your head and into outcomes. Thank you.